Hello and welcome to the 15th annual LD Micro event. We are here at the Lux in Los Angeles, California. I'm joined by Patrick Bertanga, CEO of Metalert, ticker symbol MLRT on the OTC.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us and for sharing your story with our audience. We'd love to hear more about the company. I know you recently are going through a rebrand, so feel free to go ahead and tell our audience a little bit more about that.
So we were previously known as GTX Corp. We just underwent some corporate actions. We changed our name. Now we are formally Metalert Inc. Changed our ticker, MLRT. Changed our QSIP. We recapitalized the company. We did a lot of things to really put us into position ourselves for the future. One of the things that we're really our core and our roots have always been around wearable technology, and predominantly our flagship product is designed to track people that have a tendency to wander due to Alzheimer's, dementia, cognitive memory disorders. And what we learned during COVID was a lot of our core end users also have other ailments. And so COVID was very, very dangerous for them, very perilous for them. Getting them to the doctor, hospital, anything like that was a big challenge.
Absolutely.
So during COVID, we really refocused ourselves and wanted to reposition ourselves so that we could be more than just a tracking device, but a tracking and monitoring device. So our product's been enhanced. So now that we don't just tell you where grandma is or where your son with autism is, but we also tell you how they're doing. And we've recently partnered with a telehealth company so we can send all that medical information to a health provider. So think of it this way. Imagine if you need to monitor someone's heart rate because they had a mild heart attack. So if they're using our product, they'll be able, if they go out on the golf course or on the tennis court and they have a mild arrhythmia, we'll be able to tell a first responder immediately that Mr. Smith is at this golf course or this tennis court and he's having a mild arrhythmia of some sort.
Wow.
Send a first responder. And those are life-changing events.
They absolutely are, and very much needed, especially with the current trajectory of the boomers getting into these stages of needing devices like these and support like this. Give us a little bit, you and I have had the opportunity to work together, run into each other at these conferences. Give our viewers a little bit of your background, how you got involved with the company, and kind of the focus that has evolved throughout.
Sure. Well, what I'm doing now really is a culmination of my entire world experiences in the working world. I started when I was 18 years old, and I started in the consumer goods industry. So I started with apparel and footwear, and I built several companies. I'm basically a serial entrepreneur. So I've started and built and exited out of multiple companies. I realized at some point in my 30s that there was a void in technology in that industry. It was not technologically advanced. And so I basically designed the first, this is pre-internet, so I designed the first dashboard that would monitor and track products that are made from the factory all the way to the end of the stage, which is retail stores. So there's no sense in, if Macy's in December is selling red sweaters, you don't want the factory in China making blue sweaters. And you don't want the sales reps selling the buyers at Macy's green sweaters. So I designed a platform that would track basically a complete supply chain management application. Wow. I later on sold that company and had another exit in my life, but I wanted to reinvent myself and start something completely different. And it was at the time when Elizabeth Smart, little girl out of Utah, was abducted. And I just thought, well, why can't we just put tracking devices inside of wearables, like footwear or hats or something? And anyway, that was the genesis of where I am today. So it's apparel, consumer goods, and technology tracking and monitoring, and basically combine the two together. And that's where we're at with Metalert.
Wow. So these are pretty much the core strengths. What are some of the values that have driven you along?
Well, values in the sense of my personal values, or
in the company.
And the company. Well, some of the things that I look at, I think what we do is very has the potential to really change a lot of people's lives.
Absolutely.
And so it's not just about making money. I mean, sure, that's important, and we want to build shareholder value, and we want to be we want to maximize the return on investment for ourselves, our shareholders, and everyone in our ecosystem. But we also want to do it in a way that is meaningful and impactful and has the potential to save people's lives or eventually maybe even extend their lives, improve their quality of life. Those are all things that are very important to me. Um, my grandmother at the age of 90 fell, broke her hip, and she lived till 95, but her quality of life was horrible. So like we just are going to be launching shortly a fall detection product. Very cool technology, all infrared. It's called Roommate. It's really, really cool. And I can't wait to really get into it in more detail. But that was an inspiration for me to be able to come out with, develop technologies and wrap patents around them so they're protected in the marketplace, but really to come out with things that not only make money, but also can change people's lives for the positive.
Absolutely. I wish these technologies would have been around 20 years ago. I unfortunately had the experience of going through dementia with my grandmother, who would sometimes often wander around. We had no idea where she was. And coming from Florida, we often see a lot of silver alerts.
Yeah.
And so I think this is long overdue. I think it's much needed. Is there anything else you'd like to share with investors? Any new exciting products, announcements coming up?
Yeah, well, like I said, we're coming out with this new fall detection infrared technology that's going to be very, very, it's going to be a game changer in how we remote patient monitoring, how we monitor people from afar without being invasive and intrusive, without having to have cameras on them and all that. But one of the things I really want to emphasize is that when you hear wearable technology, you think, oh, Apple and Samsung and Facebook and Google and all the big high-tech companies have products like this, and there'll be other emerging companies that have products. No, we focus, our core customer is the person with a cognitive memory disorder. So Alzheimer's, dementia, autism, traumatic brain injury, Down syndrome. And that represents 2.91% of the world's population. So it's a niche market, but if you just do the math, 2.91% of, even 1 billion people. I mean, we're not going to be selling in sub-Saharan Africa and all that, but 1 billion people throughout Europe and the Americas, 2.91%. That's a large number.
Large number.
And so let Apple go after, 97% of the population. We're staying in our lane. We're staying focused. So even though we did a whole new rebranding and all that, but we're still, really staying true to our roots.
Very smart. Well, thank you, Patrick, so much for coming by, sharing the story with us and with our audience. We really look forward to following Metalert's success and staying in touch with you all along the way.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you, Patrick.